What is up, everybody? Welcome back. I hope the video from yesterday, maybe 2 days ago, helped you kind of understand all the different things that we tackled with the crystals, the lands, blue and red cards for week 2. Next up, we are going to be talking about week 2 previews for artifact green, white, multicolor. We did talk about black also. So let's not screw around anymore and let's get into it. You see we have artifacts on the screen. First up, we have world map. So it is 1, and then you can pay 1 tap, sacrifice this artifact, search your library for a basic land card, reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle. Okay, fair enough. And then 3 tap, sacrifice this artifact, search your library for a land, reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle. I think there is some interesting little landfall effect outside of standard potentially that can really get you a bunch of value off of this. I think a deck with the green Tifa Lockhart might actually like this, right? So you have Tifa on the field, you play world battle or world map, then you pay 3, tap, sacrifice it, maybe go and get like a Evolving Wilds, or go and get, a fetch land or something like that. Bring it on the battlefield. Now you get at least 2 triggers out of it. Next up, we have the Regalia, and it's 4, and it's a vehicle. Haste. Whenever it attacks, reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal a land card. Put that card onto the battlefield tapped, and the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. Crew 1, so like we talked about in the last video, heroes can crew it, and it's a 4/4. I think this is going to be a interesting little way to maybe create an engine to get multiple land cards out of your library. Keep in mind, it is also not basic lands, it's just a land card. Next up, we have a Tier and Prewin, and it is a 6-drop legendary artifact equipment. Equipped creature has base power and toughness XX, where X is your life total, and equip 5. So I think if you have a way that you can cheat this guy out and cheat it onto something, it works really well. And also your life total is kind of high. There's a lot of stipulations to it, so it probably sucks in most formats. Next up, the goofy name UFO, Poo Poo UFO. It is 2 mana flying. You can tap it, put a land card from your hand onto the battlefield, pay 3 until end of turn. This creature's base power becomes equal to the number of towns you control. This goes with another version of that town deck that we talked about in the last video. It is a 0/4, so if you end up unlocking a bunch of towns and you get this, I think you probably play it. But if you don't, it's probably nearly unplayable. It might just be good just to cheat lands into play, actually. And lastly, for our artifacts, Buster Sword. Everybody's been looking for this one. It is a 3-cost. Equipped creature gets +3/+2. Whenever equipped creature deals combat damage to a player, draw a card. Sweet. Then you may cast a spell from your hand with mana value less than or equal to the damage without paying its mana cost, and it's an equip 2. Wow. Yeah, that's a great card. That is a stellar card, honestly, because all you have to do is deal damage and then you get to basically cast a card for free from your hand. This has to be a remove if it's on the board. Also giving +3/+2. This set has so many ways to create a free equip cost onto a creature, so it's gonna be gross. Next, we have Ride the Shoe Puff. It's 1 and a green, so we're diving into our greens. And it is an enchantment with landfall. Whenever a land enters, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control. Then it also has 5 green. This enchantment becomes a 7/7 beast creature in addition to its other types. So I think the landfall is kind of sweet. I think if you have the earth crystal out and you can benefit from that, it's double sweet. I think the 7/7 is possibly good. Now, Ancient Admantos. There we go. 5 green, green, green. We got a turtle. Vigilance, Ward 3. Damage isn't removed from this creature during cleanup steps. All damage that would be dealt to you and other permanents you control is dealt to this creature instead. When this creature dies, exile it and create 10 tapped treasure tokens. It's an 8/20. So if you can give them basically haste and swing in, I think that's kind of cool. It's also a good way to kind of give yourself twice as much life. We'll see kind of where this goes. I think there are really cool decks, especially in Commander, like Bador decks or Felithar decks, that really like that additional big toughness and gives you a little bit of breathing room until you can maybe stabilize. Clash of the Econs. It is a green for a sorcery. Choose one or more. That's insane right there. Auto including everything. Don't care what the rest of the words are. But we should talk about them. Tap creature you control fights target creature and opponent controls. Remove a lore counter from target saga you control. And put a lore counter on target saga you control. That seems real good. And I think the manipulation of the lore counters is definitely going to pay off in this set. As you see though, there is a little reminder or tip text there. Removing lore counters doesn't cause chapter abilities to trigger. Next up, Torgal, a fine hound, and it's 1 in a green. And this is very kind of goofy because it is a hound, a fine hound, some would say. Hound is a type in Magic. It also, whenever you cast the first human creature spell each turn, that creature enters with an additional +1/+1 counter on it for each dog and or wolf you control. So it also cares about dogs, which is a second creature type. And Torgal is not a hound or a dog, it's a wolf. So a third creature type that it actually cares about. That just seems a little goofy to me. But the additional +1/+1 counter on it seems cool. I don't think it's really playable. Next up we have Summon Titan, 3 green green. First up, mill 5 cards. Cool. Second up, return all land cards from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped. Also kind of sweet. And third, until end of turn, another target creature you control gains trample and +X/+X, where X is the number of lands you control. Has reach and trample, is a 7/7. I think this card is going to be so good. So good. Especially with all of the milling and graveyard use style effects in decks that there are out there right now. Oh, this is going to be a beater. Just next we have Blitz Ball Shot, 1 in a green. Here is another combat trick that I am terrified of. Target creature gets +3/+3 and trample until the end of turn. One of those cards that if you get, you just play, like an Aether Drift Bestow Greatness was just an auto include for a combat trick and actually won me a game. Kina Q Gourmand, and it is 2 in a green. And if one or more tokens would be created under your control, those tokens plus a 1/1 green frog creature token are created instead. Then you can pay 2, sacrifice a frog, and put a +1/+1 counter on this guy. It is a 2/3. Once again, kind of like the Hound. I don't think there's a viable place really for it. It's good that it creates its own food, frogs, to sacrifice in order to create more tokens, so that's a little more helpful. We have Weapons Vendor, 3 and a white. When this creature enters, draw a card. Cool. At the beginning of combat on your turn, if you control an equipment, you may pay 1. When you do, attach target equipment to target creature you control. So if you have an equipment out there and you want to move it to something, just pay 1 instead of paying the full equip cost. This is going to be a good card too. with so many equipment and so many cares about equipment types in this set, this card's going to be real good, I think. Next up, Ultima 3 white, destroy all artifacts and creatures in the turn. There are so many artifacts with equipments in this set, and creatures in general. It's just good to have a nice little board wipe. Snow Valiers, 2 and a white, vigilance. Its power is equal to the number of creatures you control, and it is an X3 from the get-go. Sweet. I think that'll work really well with the job select mechanic. Now we have Slash of Light, 1 and a white. It's an instant. Slash of Light deals damage equal to the number of creatures you control plus the number of equipments you control to target creature. So this is a targeted removal, but it can be a big one. Yeah, job select and equipments. Crystal Fragments is a white. Equipped creature gets +1/+1. And then 5 white, exile this equipment, then return it to the battlefield transformed under its owner's control. Activate only as a sorcery with an equip cost of 1. So, first 2 are prevent all damage that would be dealt to creatures you control this turn. Yuck. And then third, tap all creatures your opponents control. Okay, and it's a flying 4/3. This could be so good in decks that are able to manipulate those counters. It's going to make somebody basically unkillable. Adelbert Steiner for 1 and a white, lifelink, and Steiner gets +1/+1 for each equipment you control. It is a 2/1. In this set, it's going to be massive because there's so many equipments, and you're playing in a deck that cares about equipment. So, and finally, you're not alone. It is one white and a instant. Target creature gets +2/+2 until end of turn. If you control 3 or more creatures, it gets +4/+4 until end of turn. I think just having a deck where you can dump out creatures, once again, job select, where you get free creatures, yeah, 9 times out of 10, you're probably going to get that +4/+4, and it's going to be a beater for your opponents. Finally, we have the multicolored cards for week 2. We have Black Waltz number 3. 2 red-black flying death touch. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, Black Waltz number 3 deals 2 damage to each opponent. And it's a 2/2. Just kind of feels like a gutter snipe with a little bit more on it because it's flying and death touch. But I thought it was a interesting include, a little more powerful version of it, and a more expensive one. Now we have Hope Isthium. It is white and blue, lifelink. At the beginning of your end step, each opponent mills X cards, where X is the amount of life you gain this turn. It's a 2/2. I think there definitely is a little bit of a mill deck or mill synergy, maybe even a sub theme that is kind of just below the surface, looking at the water crystal as a way to get the mill theme online. This is going to be so good when you also have like the white crystal out, or other ways that you can gain lifelink. I mean, cards that just give lifelink, right? That's going to be such a crucial way to really just eat through your opponent's deck. Next up, we have Ignis Scientia, and it's 1 green and a blue. When he enters, look at the top 6 cards of your library, which is just kind of always good. You may put a land card from among them onto the battlefield tapped. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. And then, another ability, I've come up with a new recipe. 1 green, blue, tap. Exile target creature card from your graveyard. If a creature card was exiled this way, create a food token. Seems interesting because if you have a way to kind of gain multiple ETBs, you can get multiple land cards. Keep in mind, this says a land card, not a basic land card. Makes it so good already. Talal, Great Sage, 3 and blue-red. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, create a 1/1 colorless hero token. Cool. If 4 or more mana was spent to cast a spell, draw 2 cards. If 8 or more mana was spent to cast the spell, sacrifice Talal, and it deals damage. It deals that much damage to each opponent. That's going to be insane because you cast a really high cost spell. Yeah, you sacrifice your creature, but say it's 8, say it's 10 mana, something like that. You're dealing 10 mana to each opponent. And in a 1v1 format, you deal 8 damage to your opponent. That is basically half of their life. Now we have Garnet, Princess of Alexandria, green and a white lifelink. Whenever Garnet attacks, you may remove a lore counter from each of any number of sagas you control. Put a +1/+1 counter on Garnet for each lore counter removed this way. It's a 2/2. Every time this creature attacks, you remove a lore counter from basically all of your sagas if you want, and then you put a +1/+1 counter on this creature for each lore counter removed. If you can get an enchantment saga deck basically going, seems incredibly good. Omega the Heartless Evolution, 5 green and a blue. Wave cannon. When Omega enters, for each opponent, tap up to 1 target non-land permanent that opponent controls. Put X stun counters on each of those permanents and you gain X life, where X is the number of non-basic lands you control. It's an 8/8. First off, it's just a straight beater as an 8/8, and then being able to put as many stun counters as you want equal to non-basic lands you control, and you gain X life equal to non-basic lands you control. That seems dangerous. Those town decks that I was talking about, those are all non-basic. This is going to be sweet. This is going to be super sweet. If you draw it in a pack, I think you win the pre-release, right? Next up, we have Titus Blitzball Star, 1 white and a blue. Whenever an artifact you control enters, put a +1/+1 counter on Titus. When Titus attacks, tap target creature and opponent controls. He is a 2/1 from the rip. I think this is a super easy way to make him into a big, beefy creature with just when an artifact you control enters, not when you cast it, when it enters, you get a +1/+1 counter on him. And then when he attacks, you tap down the problem creature. And then Genova Ancient Calamity, 2 black, green. At the beginning of combat on your turn, put a number of +1/+1 counters equal to Genova's power on up to 1 other target creature. That creature becomes a mutant in addition to its other types. Whenever a mutant you control dies during your turn, draw cards equal to its power. Okay, so yeah, that's gonna be another beater. Once again, the card's going to be insane for 4. Okay, this is going to be so good, and I like many of the other cards that we've talked about, I'm terrified to play against these cards. So everybody, there you go. There is part 2 on week 2 of Final Fantasy spoilers. On a week from now, basically, or this coming Saturday, I am going to be talking about pre-release, what cards to look for, what deck kind of archetypes and themes are there, some sub-themes. I might even talk about the different cycles, going back and looking at crystals, looking at towns, things like that. So be sure to be on the lookout for that. Thank you for watching, and I hope we can get some wins going into Final Fantasy. Thank you, and peace all.